Hey everybody, I'm back. Thank you so much for making last week's reintroduction such a success. We had over 700 views on Facebook. I've also uploaded that video onto YouTube, so we'll be uploading to YouTube and Facebook moving forward. Thank you guys so much for the support and the encouragement. So I definitely want to get into a recap of Wildcard weekend in the NFL from last week. I came in at 500, so 50% of my picks were accurate. The other 50% were inaccurate. So starting with Saturday games, I picked the Browns over the Texans, and the Texans came to play. The Texans came to play, and Joe Flacco'd. I almost forgot about some of the mistakes he would make, and he reminded me why Baltimore moved on to Lamar Jackson, those years back, and he came in and had a lot of turnovers, and the Texans, I thought they were too young to come in and compete the way they did, but they showed us otherwise. So shout out to the Houston Texans for a great outing on last week. So I did get that pick wrong. Going to the next game that was on Saturday, that was the Miami Dolphins having to go to Kansas City. As I predicted, the weather was going to be a factor. Miami just didn't show up. It was like they would rather be back home in Miami, and they played that way. So Kansas City was able to just get through that game pretty easily, and we ended Saturday at 500. Then we move into Sunday. Sunday's games, we initially had Buffalo and Pittsburgh scheduled for Sunday, but they got rescheduled to Monday. So we opened up with my Cowboys against the Packers. I was going to save this and talk about it later, but we might as well talk about it now. Yes, I picked the Cowboys, as most of the world did. And we came out unprepared. We came out not ready. We came out as if we had a game the following week already on the schedule. And it was very disappointing. It was very disheartening to see. So my initial reaction, time for Dak to go. Time for all the coaches to go. And I've said this over a decade ago. It's time for Jerry Jones to fire himself as the general manager and main decision maker of the Dallas Cowboys. You can own a team, but you have made some poor decisions year after year after year. I said this dating back to when we had Tony Romo. And that's how Dak Prescott is reminding everybody of Tony Romo. Having excellent regular seasons and get into the playoffs and can't get the job done. There was moments in that game where Dak looked like a deer in headlights. And I saw that same expression on Tony Romo's face when he was our quarterback. So, with that being said, I know everybody saw the news on yesterday that Jerry Jones said we're going to run it back. I was disappointed to say the least. But as a loyal fan, I'm willing to give the Cowboys, as is, another shot. So this is going to be a pressurized season from the beginning to the end for Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. Dakota Rain Prescott. Let's say his whole name. It's going to be a pressurized season. And when I think about it, I like what Jerry is doing in this aspect. Because if you couldn't handle the pressure of the playoffs, I got to keep pressure on you for this whole entire year. Many would call this a lame duck season for McCarthy and Prescott. I would have to agree. Because you're going to get it done or you're going to get gone. So we got one more year with the Dallas Cowboys as is. And if Jerry Jones doesn't take care of business, if they don't take care of business, we need to write Jerry Jones a letter. Sir, please remove yourself from controlling management control of this team and have somebody else come in and help you make the football decisions. Because you, your son, seems like your son is just a yes man to you. You guys aren't getting it done. But as a faithful fan, I'm going to ride out with him this year coming up. Pressure every week on Dak and Mike. So that's how it has to be, because you guys can perform under the pressure of the playoffs. So we got to put you under pressure every single week. It's going to make or break them. So, guys, you guys know I'm a faithful fan. I'm loyal to anything I'm a part of. So I'm loyal to my Cowboys. Let's see what we're going to do. But it was an abysmal showing on last week. Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. It took me a few days to get over it. All right, we go to the Rams and the Detroit Lions. I anticipated this game being a great game. This was the game I had trouble picking. I ended up picking the Rams, and the Lions actually came out on top. This was the best game of last week. Very good game. And I got to give a shout out to the Lions coach. He's doing a great job. He's making decisions that most coaches wouldn't make. He's trusting his players, just to go out there and make a play. And when you have a coach like that, your players tend to perform at a high level. They tend to perform in such a way that's going to get the best results. So shout out to the Detroit Lions and their coach. So very good win, very good game on last week. So that brought me all the way down to 1-3, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Was it 1-3? Yeah, 1-3. So I needed for my Bills. Well, they're not my Bills, but I picked the Bills to win that game over Pittsburgh, and I picked the Bucs to win over the Eagles. So the Bills took care of business as anticipated. Josh Allen came through, so he let me get 2-3, and then the Bucs closed out the Eagles. The Eagles should have won that game if we look at the talent, the experience, but Baker Mayfield was baking them. And Jalen Hurts was looking like the quarterback we questioned a few years ago. And that's just what it boiled down to. So the Bucs were able to close me out at 3-3. So 500 is respectable, guys. So let's see what we can do this week. All right, this week's picks. On Saturday, we have the number 1 seeds. After a week of rest, they're going to be playing on Saturday, both number 1 seeds. We have the Texans visiting the Baltimore Ravens. Both of these games, I don't anticipate them being good games. I'm just going to be honest. Baltimore should handle Houston pretty easily. That's just how I feel about it. So I got Baltimore over Houston. As we go into the nightcap, San Francisco and Green Bay. This is going to be a good game, I believe. It's going to be a good game, I believe. And I would love for San Francisco to lose because that's a rival of my Cowboys. But I have to just be honest with myself and honest with you all. I have to pick San Francisco over the Packers on that nightcap game. Now, the Sunday games. These games should be very exciting. Very exciting. Tampa Bay and Detroit. Kicking off at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Detroit should win this game. But as you all know, like I said last week, the Bucs is by 4 the team. I'm going to do the same thing I did last week. I'm going to take heart over head. I'm giving the Bucs to upset the Lions on that first game on Sunday. Now we get down to our last game. This should be the best game of the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. This should be the best game we see. We can anticipate these quarterbacks going at it. Kansas City, Buffalo, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I've said it before. I believe Josh Allen is overrated. But I'm picking the Bills. I believe Josh Allen is going to prove me wrong. I believe he's going to show his worth. And the number one reason I'm picking the Bills, because I thought about the season Kansas City had. Those drop balls repeatedly. Those games that they lost during the regular season. I think that's going to spill over. They're going to be playing in Buffalo. Those fans are going to be going crazy. And I anticipate many drop balls by the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Bills will come out victorious. So there's my picks for the divisional rounds. Once again, we're going Baltimore over Houston, San Francisco over Green Bay, Tampa over Detroit in my upset pick, and then the Bills over Kansas City. So let's see how this thing goes. We hit over 700 views last week. Let's see if we can get this over 1,000 for this one. And I'll be back next week as we get down to our Final Four and see what our AFC and NFC championship games are going to be looking like. Thank you guys once again. This is Courtney Stanley, otherwise known as C. Michael Stanley, because I have one of my kids is my namesake as well. So you'll see C. Michael Stanley as well. This is Kingdom Sports from Kingdom Speaks Network. Thank you so much. Until next week.